Joining live here from my facility in Indianapolis, Indiana, Kivit Kinetic Solutions. We're streaming live with LifePro on 3 different platform channels right now between Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'm really excited about today because today I'm going to share with you something that is really powerful that a lot of people don't realize with LifePro products in general, but specifically, I want to share with you how whole body vibration is making an impact on the world, specifically in the form of mental care or mental health in a sense, because I think right now with a lot of what's going on with the adversity in our world, what's going on around us on a day-to-day basis with all the stress going on, we are aging as a population much faster than we ever have before. There's a lot of disease in the world. There's a lot of pharmaceuticals and there's a lot of alternative opportunities. There's so many different things that are providing opportunities for improvement in healthcare, but some of those opportunities are not affordable for everybody, whether they have insurance or not. So I want to share with you the holistic approach that we're using here at Kivit Kinetic Solutions through LifePro in order to be able to improve lives, not only just here locally, but globally through sharing the stories of our own adversity. I want to talk to you about what we know about how the brain works and how powerful the brain is so that you have a really good understanding as to why everything happens the way that it happens, why we don't have the answers to everything, why a lot of your doctors don't have any information, specific questions on what you might be curious about when it comes to not only your well-being, your healthcare, your physical conditions, your mental conditions, how medications play a part in all of that. And by no means are we giving you any medical advice or taking away from any kind of prescription program or supplemental program that you might be already using. But I want to just give you some perspective as to how LifePro can actually make an impact in your life or in the life of your loved ones, even after you've been told that there are no other options or no other alternatives, that this is the end of the road for you, or there's nothing else we can do to help you, or I'm sorry, you do not qualify for this prescription or for this treatment. I want to make sure that you understand that LifePro products are residential use products, but the amount of power behind them to transform and change somebody's life just by using them on a day-to-day basis, and the research supporting them. I've got all the research supporting the facts that I'm about to share with you. And then I have a special guest that I'd like to introduce to you as soon as he arrives. This young man is, I might get emotional in sharing with you his situation because he is going to be a senior in high school this year. And I just started working with him maybe about a month ago. His name is Lucas Grounds, and it was in the past, but let me just say, he is a multinational champion in kind of a motocross dirt bike racing. And not only has he raced in dirt bikes, but he's raced in go-karts, he's raced in all these different layers of the racing community, and has been in racing since he was like 3 or 4 years old. He was involved in a motorcycle accident in the month of December back in 2020 and suffered a significant accident with breaking his back. So he is now paralyzed. And he's going to come in and be a guest for us today and is going to share with you how his life has changed since we started using the LifePro whole body vibration platform with him, as well as the red light therapy. We're doing both of those types of therapies here right now. And he is borrowing one of the LifePro Rumble X Pro devices at home. And then he's also using the B3 BFR bands that you've seen in a lot of my fitness programs with LifePro, as well as he's using our red light therapy torch, and he's using a red light therapy belt, the Aliva Red and the LumiCare. So I'm excited for him to come. He's coming in here straight from his physical therapy session. He attends 4 days of physical therapy a week, and he was in the hospital for over 2 months. And again, he does not have the ability to walk yet, but we are getting there. His goal, his senior year of high school going into this year, is to being able to receive his high school diploma by walking up to receive that versus by using his wheelchair. So I have now joined his team, his treatment team, in trying to give him a completely different approach as to how we can work together from a medical perspective to providing other alternative options that haven't worked from, or I should say, we are giving him alternative opportunities through treatment options that nobody else has considered with the intent that let's see what it does, because we just don't know what's possible. That being said, I want to talk to you about how powerful the brain is, okay? With our brain, and I'm going to give you a lot of numbers here, and this is going to like blow your mind, like literally blow your mind. It blows my mind when I think about it. Our brain is made up of 100 to 200 billion with a B, billion neurons, which are nerve cells, okay? Neurons are nerve cells, which provide the information, the sensory, to the brain, the electrical activity to the brain, which allows the brain to create the transportation pathways for how our body does what it does. We make somewhere in the ballpark of 40 to 50,000 decisions a day without even realizing it, because of how our billions of neurons are working in order to create the communication pathways, kind of like the telephone wires, and sending those messages. One neuron, just one neuron is created up to 1,000 other connections, creating like this tree-like structure with roots from the bottom and then branching out like multiple branches. So one neuron is connecting up to over 1,000 other connections, other neurons, and those connections is what we call synapses. I know I'm like getting all nerd on you, but trust me, this is like really powerful to understand this. So the neurons are creating this connection, these thousands of other connections through this tree-like structure. And those connections are called synapses, okay? So 1 to 200 billion neurons, up to 1,000 other synapses created from one neuron. And those synapses create, there's 300 trillion, with a T, 300 trillion synapses in the brain's capacity for power, okay? Crazy electrical, all right? That's the take home. Like the brain is miraculously electrical. Now, when we are looking at the attachment sites or activation sites for neurotransmitters, which are the electrical communication messengers throughout our body, we have 1,000 activation sites for our neurotransmitters per synapse. So let me give this to you again. 1 to 200 billion neurons, up to 1,000 connection points per neuron, up to 300 trillion synapses for each connection, and then 1,000 activation sites for neurotransmitters to latch on and create a connection synapse through each one of those synapses, which is 300 trillion synapses. So when we put all of those numbers together, creating this crazy electrical branched system, that means that we have more neurons. There are more neurons in one brain than there are people on the entire earth, okay? There are more neurons in one human being brain than there are people on the entire planet Earth. There are more synapses than there are stars in the entire galaxy. And the complexity of all this stuff happening are more complex than all of the computers on planet Earth. Okay, just like there's an emoji for that, right? So I'm wanting to give this to you in perspective, because doctors can't know it all. Medical professionals can't know it all. Scientists cannot know it all. But what we are able to figure out is ever changing, ever growing, which means what you might have been told before might have changed in the future because of how complex the brain really is, and how those information pathways change from point A to point B to point Z through the entire body. And all of that changes based on the stress on our body. So the more stress that we have in our life, the more adversity that we have going on in our life, the more complex that the communication pathways become in effectiveness of communication throughout our body. So what I mean by that is the more stressed out we get, the higher our hormone levels get, the more likely the onset of disease. So mental health, 20% of human beings here in the United States and in Europe are suffering of some kind of a depression, anxiety, mental health disorder every single year. So 20%, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot of people, a lot of people. And so what we do know about the whole body vibration platform, which we're going to show you here in a little bit, what we do know about the whole body vibration platform is that it stimulates the release of not only the dose of hormones that I always talk about, so the dopamine, the oxytocin, the serotonin, the endorphins, but it also changes how norepinephrine and epinephrine and cortisol works, okay? We've got two hormones that the American healthcare population is trying to control through the use of medication as well as through the form of exercise. And those two hormones that we refer to often are serotonin and norepinephrine. Serotonin is a relaxation hormone. So as long as we have proper levels of serotonin functioning throughout our body, we have the ability to improve in our sleep patterns, just overall mastery of skill, experiencing the sensation of pleasure, and just being able to relax. So, what do doctors and what do people use in order to inhibit or increase the amount of serotonin in our system? Well, the number one, number two drugs are Prozac and Wellbutrin. Okay. I'm not here to talk about Prozac and Wellbutrin and how it affects mental health and whether it's right or it's wrong, because it's not my place to say that. But not only in addition to that, we have a radical drug problem in the United States as it is. A drug problem between marijuana, cocaine, ecstasy. Reason being is because those three drugs, though illegal, marijuana, cocaine, and ecstasy, those increase the sensations of serotonin to make us want to rest, to make us more relaxed, to make us want to engage more pleasure events, and to be able to, just chill. So a lot of people are doing it in the form of pain relief because they just want to be able to chill out. So, but if we don't have to put chemical in our body, if we don't have to put toxins in our body, and if we don't have to detox those toxins in our system, then we are looking at a whole new option of treatment in the healthcare world, which is whole body vibration. And I'm going to go over some of the studies here that are clinically based, peer reviewed, government funded, some of them, and others are published in a lot of different reputable journals. But I just want to make sure you all understand serotonin is primarily a gut regulated hormone. That's why there's so much information right now as to gut hormone equals happy body, and what you eat, you become. And there's so much truth to that. So serotonin, again, is responsible for sleep, for the sensation of mastery, for experiencing pleasure, for being able to relax. And of course, the drugs that are commonly used to access those benefits is Prozac, Wellbutrin, marijuana, cocaine, and ecstasy. Okay, so now let's go on into norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is not only a neurotransmitter, but it's also a stimulant. So it is our gas engine. It is our power thruster. It's like go, 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 go. So it's our fight or flight system. It is what gives us the gas to go where we're supposed to go. When we are low on norepinephrine and that stimulant, naturally our energy levels go like totally crashed, like out of commission, right? And when that happens, we also have the onset of depression. Anxiety, which I think majority of the population suffers from on some level or another, is the precursor to clinical depression. So if we can utilize the whole body vibration platform on a day-to-day basis, then wouldn't it be awesome if we were able to do that versus using other substance or drugs if we don't have to, if there's another alternative? And I'm not saying that you need to discontinue what you're taking, but I want to make sure that you understand that we have the opportunity to look into other options. Back in 2005, I was involved in a motor vehicle accident, 8 spinal injuries, head trauma, and the immediate onset of fibromyalgia because my stress levels were through the roof. I was prescribed between 7 doctors, 7 specialists. After having these multiple injuries, having to learn to walk again, I was prescribed 21 pills a day. 21 pills a day. And it was through the 21 pills a day that shut my body down, on the verge of dialysis, not knowing who I was, severe clinical depression, no interest in life whatsoever, not suicidal, but no interest in what was going on around me. And I got tired of not knowing who I was. Oh, my young man is here. Come on in, buddy. Okay, so now I got to take the AirPods off. This is Lucas. So yeah, scooch on up there, bud. I got the room all arranged for you. Yeah, so we're just talking about how whole body vibration changes how the body and the brain, right? And so I shared with them that I was introducing you earlier before you got here, so we'll get into that here in just a second. But in my accident, I didn't want to go the traditional way because I didn't know who I was. I started hallucinating. I didn't know where I was at, didn't know what was going on around me, had short-term memory, just miserable. And so I started looking into Eastern methodology, so acupuncture, cupping. Now we're doing the whole body vibration. And again, I still suffer from symptoms of fibromyalgia, but as long as I'm on the platform on a day-to-day basis, I feel absolutely wonderful. Like I have a chance, and I don't take drugs on a daily basis any longer because I'm able to use the platform for my pain relief and pain management. So when we're looking at all of these, how the brain is electrically connected, doctors don't always have the answers, right, Lucas?
For sure. Definitely.
All right. So that being said, I want to cover a couple of studies here real quick, and then I want him to be able to share his story because it is such an explosive story as to where he's coming from, where he started, where he's at now, where we're going, and how we're getting there, and how, you know, LifePro is making a big difference in all of our lives. But for those of you who are in a wheelchair, for those of you who are suffering from something that the doctors told you that there's no hope for, I want to use Lucas's story and let him be able to share his situation, because what we are capable of doing, even though the doctors tell us it's not possible, I'm telling you, the neurons more than people on Earth, the synapses more than the stars in the galaxy, and the complexity of all computers in the world on planet Earth, you can't know it all. So what's wrong with trying some different things? And so that's what we're here to talk about today. So what I want to talk about real quick, this was published in the Biomedical Journal of Scientific and Technical Research, and it's vibration therapy and its influence on health. And so when we're looking at Americans and Europeans, they spend annually, this is crazy, spending annually $50 billion with a B, $50 billion to help alleviate just lower back pain alone. And that number is continuing to grow. This was published in 2018. And what we understand, as Lucas is going to explain to you, is we understand that tissue healing is an intricate process that is regulated by circulation. And so one of the things that was really powerful for him was, before I started working with him, again, he's worked with doctors, he's worked with therapists, he was an inpatient in the hospital for several months. Nobody had worked on his connective tissue. Nobody had worked on his soft tissue. So there's no circulation moving into his limbs. And if you're going to be able to walk again, you have to have circulation into his limbs. So that was where we started with him a little over a month ago. And I'm going to let him share with you here in a bit how that has changed his life and his outcome and the trajectory of where we're going. When we're looking at connective tissue, fascia, how our body is put together, the reason why red light therapy and infrared light therapy is such a powerful story right now, with the research behind it, and they refer to it as the medical miracle, is because it has the power to regenerate stem cells in the body, but it also stimulates the production of collagen and elastin, which are the components that make up your fascia, which are the components that put your body together. And those are the components that hold this electrical system and all these neurons together on a cellular molecular basis. So it's very, very complex. But if we're looking at athletes, and not just athletes, but subjects who have developed excessive connective tissue fibrosis, or they have poorly organized scar tissue, specifically around the joints, the nerves, the tendons, the ligaments, and the myofascial planes. This can lead to chronic inflammation as well as soft tissue adhesions, and dysfunctioning, and doesn't respond to conservative treatments. So that's what we're doing with him, but he's using the vibration platform at home on a day-to-day basis in order to be able to not only stimulate strength in his limbs that can't move, but also to change how his hormones are working in his brain, so that the cellular process, the neuron, the electrical process is happening in his body
can open up some of these communication pathways so that his legs can now start to get the information that they haven't gotten in quite some time. So that is one study. And so after after humans, not rats, but humans actually used the vibration platform in this controlled study, there was an improvement of muscular performance after a short period of vibration training that has been quoted to similar of having several weeks of heavy resistance training. Why does this matter? How many weeks did you take off from resistance training because you couldn't use your legs?
I don't know.
Months, years?
Months.
Okay.
Multiple months.
How have your rehab sessions been going the last 2 weeks?
A lot more active. Like before I could go into therapy and, I could finish the session and feel pretty good. But here lately I felt a lot more accomplished because I've been able to get more out of my body with the new rest schedule and with the more, like movement type stuff that you've been having me do, not only at therapy, but at home. And it's really allowed my body to free up or allow some new muscles to maybe show that they've been there and show that they're new function.
Sure. And that's so exciting because not only are we changing you, but who else is suffering from your situation?
Everybody around me.
Absolutely. Your whole entire family.
It impacts some people more than it impacts me. So.
Absolutely. So I want you to share your story, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I can do that. From the beginning?
From the beginning.
Okay. So I'd say, it was December 2020, probably mid-December. It was a nicer day outside. So me, and at the time I was living with my mechanic. Before I got injured, I was a high-level dirt bike racer.
National champion.
Yeah, 7-time national champion.
Professional
racing.
I was
going into my professional career. So I was living with my mechanic at the time. It ended up being like a 55-degree day in December, which is uncalled, like not normal for Indiana. So we went on a motorcycle ride, which I wasn't even on my dirt bike, which was the craziest part. And we were going through this covered bridge, and I don't know, I was maybe going 15 miles an hour.
Did you find a motorcycle? Are we talking like a big Harley, or
so
are we talking like a little motorbike?
So like a dual sport bike. So it's for the road, but you can also go off-road if you were wanting to. So it's a larger motorcycle for the road.
Okay.
So, I was going through this covered bridge, and I think maybe the bridge had sweated or something because it was so warm out and it had cooled down. It was a night ride. It was about 7 p.m. So I think maybe the bridge had sweated or something, and I ended up sliding out, and like I said, it was the slowest crash of my life. So I went to sit up, and I noticed I had no function to sit up. And I looked down at my legs, and they're laid out flat on the ground. So I ended up going to Lafayette's regional hospital or whatever, and
by Lifeline.
Yep, by Lifeline. I got Lifeline from there to Riley, and that's where I got my surgery done. And then I stayed at Riley for 3.5 months.
So Riley Hospital is one of the top children's hospitals in the country, and you were flown from one point to another point. What was your diagnosis?
At first, I was a T12 complete injury.
So they thought he had severed his spinal cord. Whenever
I left Riley, I am now L1 incomplete, which is, I think, 1 or 2 vertebrates lower than T12. So that was huge news to leave there, especially for like a therapy standpoint, because incomplete and complete, that means a lot for insurance, whether it's, even if it's an insurance program or not an insurance program, it doesn't matter. It's a lot to go into our program to get better. So
you have to have a certain kind of diagnosis in order to qualify for insurance to be able to provide the services for rehabilitation, because you actually want to get better. And because of how our insurance is set up, unless they deem you necessary, even though you know you want to try, you don't have the option because it's totally not attainable with the amount of money it costs.
Yep. And most of the therapy I'm doing now is out of pocket. It's not anything with therapy anymore. I mean, with
insurance
anymore, because those types of programs, they're good. They will get you better, but maybe not in the aspect that you want to get better. So like,
because they have to follow government.
Yes, they have to follow protocols that they are under because it's an insurance-based program.
Correct. So you're getting better treatment
on
your own.
Yes, for sure. 100%.
Okay, so we now know that you have the possibility of being able to walk again.
Yep.
So what are you doing right now to do that?
So right now, I was going to therapy 5 days a week, but I've actually cut it
How old
down.
are you?
I am 17.
17 years old, you guys. 17 years old.
So I've actually cut it down to 3 days a week because I was getting a lot out of the 5 days a week, but cutting it down to 3 days and having maybe a rest day is more beneficial right now because the amount of training that I'm doing those 3 days a week is enough to where I need a day to rest to maybe catch back up to where I can get back to the level where I can work at 100% every time I go into that therapy room to get to where I want to be.
Right. So tell me what a typical day or a typical week, because we, before I started working with you a month ago, you were very regimented in your 5 days a week of therapy.
Mhm.
Tell me what a typical week would have been like 3 months ago.
So 3 months ago.
And how far do you have to drive for all this?
Okay,
He
so
drives himself, you guys. He drives himself.
So I was going to one therapy 3 days a week, and I'm not going to mention any names of it or
Nope,
whatever.
we just
But
need to know what kind of therapy.
yep, so it's 3 days a week, 2 days on a treadmill, 1 day core and upper body.
What does a treadmill mean?
So like
'Cause you can't walk.
I've got put into this harness, and they would actually guide my legs for me.
So
So
it actually moved.
it was very
three
beneficial
therapists
for sure.
that were moving his legs, simulating him actually walking. So his brain was like trying to recognize not only the pattern of his feet making way on the belt, but like his brain being reminded that it is possible that we can walk, right?
Yep.
By feeling the motion.
And I was going there 3 days a week, which was about an hour and 15 minutes away, give or take.
So,
Sometimes more, sometimes less.
so
just
2.5
depends on traffic.
hours round trip just for a therapy session.
An hour therapy, not even a long therapy, just 1 hour.
1 hour, regimented, has to be this way.
Yep.
Nothing more, nothing less.
And then I was going, so on a Friday, I was going to 2 different therapies in 1 day.
2 different
Which
therapies
is-
in 1 day.
So that therapy I was going 2 days a week, and I'm still currently going to this one, but it is only like 35 to 40 minutes, which is a breeze to me now. And then I come here 1 day a week, 6 minutes from home, which is mind blowing because this should be the one that's an hour and 30 minutes away.
Right.
But currently now I'm doing 3 days a week, 1 day here, and then 2 days at the other place. So
You wanted to come here 2 days a week, and I
Yes.
declined.
I was thinking about doing 2 days a week here, but she talked me out of it, which I'm glad that she did because
I love money, right? But I love you more.
it allows me a chance to do stuff
you.
outside of therapy,
Be you.
and it allows me to do my catching up to where I can get my body to where I need to be to do the rest of this therapy to keep this 3 days a week being better than the 5 days a week I was doing.
Correct. And so what I noticed the first day you came in here, you were exhausted.
Yeah.
And what was your biggest fear leaving here, going to school the next day?
Not waking up for school in the morning because I struggle with waking up in the morning ever since I got hurt. Before I was a morning person, now I'm like, I struggle to even roll out of bed. So
Okay. And you were worried because you are not retaining information and you were not able to fulfill your obligations as a high school junior in an algebra class because you fell so far behind after being in the hospital and doing all these therapy sessions as a professional therapy
after school
athlete. Yeah. So you guys, I want you to embrace this. You get up, what time does school start?
7:50, but I left the house at like 6:45 just so I could get there at 7:30ish.
Okay, so 7:30 you're at school. You get out of school at what time?
2:40. Some days I would leave school early to go to therapy.
Okay, so he's missing school to drive 2.5 hours round trip for a 1 hour therapy session 3 days a week. And then the other 2 days a week, he is doing another type of therapy in addition to going to school. And you have a girlfriend. You are still active in the racing community, so you're staying connected into racing somehow. In fact, you've already been out on the race course. What are you doing now racing-wise without the use of your legs?
Yeah, so before I raced this series, it was called Grand National Cross Country, or GNCC for short, and I raced it on a dirt bike, obviously. So,
Which, by the way, you've been in accidents on the dirt bike. Going how fast?
60 to 70 miles an hour,
He's
and I
been
jump right up.
He's been pancaked, you guys. 60 to 70 miles an hour on a dirt bike, but it only took 15 miles an hour to break his back.
just the way that the cookie crumbles, I
That's
guess.
right.
But yeah, so just probably last month, I think it'd be maybe 2 months ago, there's a race in Indiana. It's called the Hoosier, and my team owner from whenever I was racing dirt bikes, he also has a 4-wheeler team. So I thought it'd be a cool thing to do to maybe I got on one of his 4-wheelers and I went out and raced the GNCC on a quad.
Okay,
For 2
now,
hours.
and for 2 hours.
2-hour race.
Now, you guys, mind you, most elite performers in the quad racing community are driving their feet into the bottom of the quad to control their upper body strength, to control the momentum on turns, and in order to be able to be at the front of the pack. But you don't have the ability to feel or do any of that.
Yep. So I was essentially.
and you finished.
Yeah, I had finished. 2 hours and 12 minutes was the complete time for me. I got 4th place, which.
And how many?
I think there were 7 or 8, so it was like.
Oh my gosh!
It was like half the crowd. So.
And that's the first time you've been
Yep.
on any kind of a quad.
Yep.
Since before the accident.
And then I'm also racing micro sprint cars, which is in a dirt track in a circle.
So he's actually driving a race car,
Yep.
you guys.
So I'm driving. I drive it with my hands. Got my brake and
This
my
is his
throttle.
throttles.
Yeah, I got my throttle and I got my brake. So that's been something cool for me to do, and I'm almost ready to start doing it again this year. We're just waiting to get my cars done. So I'm staying busy for sure. And on top of all that, I still go to a bunch of dirt bike races, and
That's where he's at every weekend when I call to check on him.
yeah, that's no kidding.
Okay, and you have a national reputation.
Yes,
Like you have a global
I
race
have.
following.
Yep. So
You are
social
in the-
media is huge for us.
You were in the Indy 500 garage as an honorary member of their team for Ed
Yep.
Carpenter Racing, and they put you in the garage where their top secret components are exposed to
I gotta look at it.
to
all.
Lucas.
Yep.
And they don't share that stuff, you guys. They're like, you're sworn to secrecy. You sign a non-disclosure agreement
Yeah.
before you can be part of that team. And they asked him to be part of the team. That was just last month. So really, really cool. And so where are you at now?
So now it's obviously summer break, so I have a little bit more time.
No, you
Not
really
really,
don't.
because I can
We all have
feel
24 hours a day,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
It's how we fill that time that makes all the difference.
I'm feeling
right?
it a lot smarter now, so I guess. So whenever I first started coming here, I was kind of all over the place, scatterbrained. I kind of just did what I wanted whenever.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, I was definitely overwhelmed.
Anxious.
Now-
Although you didn't claim to be
Yeah.
anxious.
I had a lot going on.
You had a lot of anxiety. What happened before we continue on with that? You used the vibration platform in the very first session
Mhm.
with me. And then we used it the second time, which was a week apart. We sent the one home with you the first night, so you were able to use it
Yep.
at home. How often were you using it when you first started using it the first week?
I'd sit on it for close to an hour. So what I'd do is I have a little recliner in my room, and I'd sit it in front of my recliner, and I'd
Mhm.
turn it on to have the variable setting, so it has 2 different vibration modes.
Yep.
And then I set it on maybe half or 3/4 of the vibration. At first, I started off super low, and then the more and more through the week, I was using it about 3 to 4 times a week
Mhm.
at nighttime. So I just get on there for about an hour a day and watch maybe some TV or something, and because it's not hard once you find the time to sit down,
Mhm.
it's just you doing it.
Yeah.
And I do that, and then I go to bed or I go eat dinner or whatever.
But you weren't sleeping for a while.
No.
At all. In fact, your first visit in here, I worked on you for like 3.5 hours, I think. 3.5 hour appointment with me, you guys. And I worked on his entire body with my hands and with the device and with the massage gun. We did some acupuncture. We did some scraping, some cupping. We did some mental game work. And I think what was really cool for you, as well as for myself, is nobody had touched your legs
Mhm.
before I worked on you, and it was 2 years out.
Yeah.
No soft tissue work, no fascial massage to his limbs at all. And as I've told you all in past episodes, when it comes to the fascial connections, when we don't manage that and when our stress levels are up, you're paralyzed. Stress is like, right? So when all that happens, our body holds on to that emotion, and it holds on to the connective tissue, creating all these restrictions and not allowing blood flow to work through the extremities, not allowing things to communicate. Like nothing is transferring through and through. It's having to reroute around if it even makes there. So after I worked on you, I know your mom and dad were in tears the night that they came in and witnessed what happened, because we got your feet to move. We got your toes to move. And your parents were like, how did you do that? And I said, all I did was worked on the connective tissue. And by stimulating the vibration platform with the legs, we are stimulating up to 90% of your muscle fibers to shorten and lengthen, anywhere from 10 to 50 times per second. He had not activated anything in a couple of years, and they hadn't touched his legs to manage that process. So we're now getting activation. We're now getting, you can actually feel things. In fact, it messed with you because you were really irritated. Is it okay if I share this?
Yeah, that's fine.
You're really irritated because I was working on you and you couldn't figure out how it was happening because you never felt it before. And you couldn't see it because you were face down in a pillow. And you're like, okay, how are you doing that? You're like really messing with me.
Yeah,
Are you doing that or you're not doing that? And I was having
mind-boggling.
fun with him because I found his vulnerability.
It was mind-boggling.
It was mind-boggling. So, but your second visit, how did you feel after the first visit?
I felt like I was on a cloud. I don't know how to explain it. I was like super light. Like my body was light. I don't know. I felt like I was able to use my body to like its full potential, like sometimes like you know that you've hurt yourself sometimes and it's fine. And like you kind of just blow it off and then you go a whole year and you still haven't even done anything about it. And at this point, you don't even notice it anymore.
Right.
Until you actually go do something to get it fixed. And you're like, wow, my mobility is twice as much as what it was.
Right.
And the thing with that is even before my injury, there's been things that I've blown off times like that she's maybe fixed from before I was hurt. So now, whenever I left here that first time, I was honestly in shock of how well I could move things that I have always thought that I was able to move great.
So you felt extraordinary.
Yes.
In fact, I think your mom and your dad contacted me the next day and said that you felt better after you left here. From what you told them, you said you felt better leaving here than before you ever got hurt.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
Total body, like a whole new reborn person.
Yes.
Which really makes me happy for you, excited for you. The second visit, we were worried about passing an algebra test, and I put you on the platform. We talked about it a lot. In fact, that night, although you couldn't stabilize yourself on the platform, I was your set of legs holding you up. We maneuvered the rails to be able for you to hold on to, and I held your hips so that your hips could vibrate. And you were really not confident that you were going to pass that test, that you were going to pass the class altogether. And we had a really long talk about what you were going to do mentally going into that exam, ready to go. And what happened?
I got 94%.
He got a 94%, you guys.
Keep in mind, I was really lucky to get a C on any of my other tests. So.
Okay, so he used the platform, and he got an A on his test. Normally getting a C, and passed the class with better than
Yeah, I think
expected.
it was a higher C plus or something like that.
Yeah. So the reason why I mention that is because, again, the results from these studies, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is associated with reduced quality of life, and children and adults with ADHD frequently experience problems in social interaction, which can lead to social rejection, social isolation, discrimination, yada, yada, yada. Whole body vibration can improve cognitive performance of healthy individuals as well as individuals with ADHD. Lucas, let's be honest. Are you healthy?
Fairly.
Fairly.
I'd say so. I mean, I think I'm pretty healthy.
You're pretty healthy.
I go outside, so that's like 90% of healthy.
Correct. But it improved your cognitive
Yeah, for
abilities
sure.
to take your test. And it has the potential to improve cognition, reducing stress, playing a factor in self-esteem, ultimately improving your quality of life. How's your quality of life been since you've been using the platform?
It's been a lot better. Like before, I had a great, like my quality of life was amazing, but now it's a lot better because I'm not worried about as much because I can wake up. I've actually before I started coming here, my sleep schedule was just
Terrible.
destroyed. So now I've actually worked on a set program to where like I'm up before 9:30, and then
We started that.
yes, we started that,
That was
and
part of our plan.
the day that I is my rest day, I allow myself to sleep until maybe 10:30. But yeah, I honestly I've been up before that a lot of the days so
You have
far.
more energy.
But yeah, I've since then I've actually the quality of life's improved because I have more energy to go do the stuff I want to do, and still even after going to therapy, like I had therapy 2 hours ago and I'm here right now. Before, if I were to go to therapy and then have something to do after, I'd be sitting here looking at the ground, dead asleep. So
in fact, that's why I questioned you the
first
last time
day,
you
yeah.
were here. Yeah, because you were, we were out doing crunches and abdominal core stabilization, laying on your back, and we were having a competition with your sister, and you were in a very sour mood that day. But that was the night before your exam.
Yeah.
And you were stressed and you were exhausted, and that's when I said we've got to slow down and do something different with your rehab schedule because it's sucking the life right out of you.
Yeah.
So stress, anxiety, and depression are responsible for 80 to 90% of all disease, according to experts. And whole body vibration therapy has clinically demonstrated a positive effect on the production of hormones and neurotransmitters, specifically dopamine, serotonin levels, norepinephrine, which is a stimulant, as we were talking about earlier. And when we're talking about, in general, most people who are healthy, that after a short session of whole body vibration, there's a couple of research studies that have concluded that there's stimulating effects that counteract most types of depression, and it also increases personal motivation. So we are now motivated to live every moment as it counts, as opposed to just trying to get by with whatever we can. You've also noticed here lately, so this, here's another couple of other clinical studies showing that there's an increase in physical strength, improvements in balance and coordination, improvement in pelvic floor function. So you have control over incontinence, bowel movements, and it speeds recovery from surgery or trauma. In the last couple of therapy sessions that you've been working on your legs, what have you noticed?
More strength. So the other therapy I'm doing, I'm in these long leg braces to keep. So my issue is I can't. Whenever I stand up, you use your your knee.
Mm-hmm.
I can't lock my knees out. So I have these long leg braces, and I have really good hip muscles, obviously. So whenever I'm walking in those long leg braces, I've always been able to do the whole session in them. But by the end of it, I'm pretty dead. And now these last 2 weeks, I've actually been doing my long leg braces, and I've been walking 50 to 75 more feet than I was before with 4-pound ankle weights on top of that. So it's pretty crazy to go from obviously walking all right with them without no weight or with 1 or 2 pounds on there to walking with 4-pound weights on and being able to hop up 4.5-inch step with the weights on. So it's just
wow.
It's crazy to see how much stronger the muscles actually can get just from not even, like a.
Because you're not doing strength training with your legs.
No.
This is your strength training.
This is strength training is the vibration platform and the deep tissue work.
And the bands.
And the bands, yes.
Yep. Okay. And so the purpose of using the B3 BFR bands and the platform together was to increase hormone production, specifically human growth hormone, testosterone, because we talked about your testosterone levels probably being crashed, and then IGF-1, which is another growth hormone, and then your neurotrophine and your serotonin. So when we put all those together, those are the components that give your body the ability to maintain muscle mass, because your booty and your legs are not at the muscular size that your racing body used to possess.
Yep.
But we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting there easier than what you've had to do in the past by doing 5 days of therapy a week. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. Okay, so this is where we were at 2 weeks ago, and where are we going? Like, what's a normal therapy week for you now?
So now I have Mondays and Wednesdays off. Sorry, I had to think about it.
You're allowed to think.
But yeah, I have Mondays and Wednesdays off. Tuesdays and Fridays I go to the other therapy. And on Fridays I actually go to therapy at 8 in the morning. So that's a nice change for me. I actually do enjoy that because I have the whole rest of the day. But and then on Thursdays I come here and I do my
2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours, sometimes a little longer than 3, just depends on how the body's feeling and how it's, I guess, changed.
We don't know what we're going to do until we get here.
Yes,
And I just
for
make sure we set aside a lot of time so that we can truly
I was
serve
gonna
you.
say it's different week to week, no
Yeah.
matter what,
and there's no plan.
No, there's no plan.
Because we don't have control
Yeah.
over the brain.
Mhm.
So you're not a typical protocol. We're creating the map in uncharted waters.
Yes,
Isn't that fun?
it's different, but it's cool.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. So going back to another clinical study, this is from the International Journal of MS Care. There's a small group of MS patients who experienced vibration training, which showed improvement not only in decision-making, informational processing, attention and memory, and they were also able to walk faster and reported a higher quality of life, both physically and mentally after therapy. After going through and reading through this research study, there's an interesting testimonial here, but there's also an interesting statement as to why the study is so limiting. And so what this specific study from Georgia State University talked about is that it is being the whole body vibration is being potentially useful for physical therapy in not only MS patients, but also for stroke victims, people with spinal cord injuries or other movement disorders. And that if you're doing this treatment 3 times a week for 6 weeks, that they're seeing a radical shift, 45% in improvement in memory alone. But what I have highlighted here, which this is what blew my mind because you're in this situation. But vibration therapy has mainly been tested in MS patients who can either walk on their own or with the assistance of a crutch or walker. It has not been tried in people who can't walk. You're first.
I'm the test guy.
You're the prodigy. How cool is that? I love this. I love this. I love this. And for all of you that are watching, Mary Beth, this is Lucas Grounds, Grounds. Just as it sounds, Grounds, Lucas. You can look him up. You can type him in Google. Like he's all over the place, because he's, like I said, he's a repeating national champion in racing. He professional racing was on the way when he got into this motorcycle accident or motorbike accident, and now is trying to learn how to walk again without motor activity of his limbs. Yet we're getting there. We are getting there, and so it's really, really cool. So you can look all that information up online. Somebody did ask on here earlier, do you have a GoFundMe account?
I do. It is. Okay, so it's in Instagram bios, and honestly, if you looked it up on the internet, I'm sure you could find it. But
what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is grounds_912. My dad's Instagram is Grounds Quality Lawn Care. He posts a bunch of stuff of me in there on top of his work, but you will find more stuff about me in there. And then Facebook is Shanda Grounds is where you'll find the most stuff about me on Facebook. So that's my mom, and she posts a ton of stuff and keeps everybody in the loop. So yeah.
So Lucas, I'm gonna have you type that information in. We're gonna send that to you virtually. So you guys are gonna have a link that you can click on so you can learn more about his story, and so that you will have an idea if you are wanting to contribute. That's not what this episode is for, but for those of you who are interested in following his story is most incredible. And he's a national story because, I think USA Today has followed you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, he's got a very rich legacy and history in the racing community among several platforms of racing. So a lot of people are following him. But most recently, what has been the biggest turnaround in your life? What was your greatest weakness with this whole situation?
I have to think on that.
Where's your house?
Yeah.
So what happened?
So yeah, so whenever I was in the hospital, this is early on in the hospital, so maybe a month and a half to 2 months in, if that. So my mom had got a hold of a company called Sunco Construction. They're local in Mooresville, Indiana. That's where I grew up. That's where I go to school and all that. So we had got a hold of them to maybe get a room addition put onto our house so I could have a bigger bathroom and maybe an extra room just to keep stuff in, because our house was attainable for our family before the wheelchair.
Mhm.
But once we got the wheelchair, it kind of changed. And Sunco, and then my team owner, which is, and a ton of other people. Like, I'm just gonna mention the two bigger
Yep.
names.
The
So
floor is yours.
it's called Magna One Motorsports. That's what I used to race my dirt bike for. But Magna One Motorsports and Sunco Construction were the two biggest companies in this. So Sunco actually called my mom when I was in the hospital and said, "Hey, sorry, we're not gonna be able to do the room addition." And that really was like, it kind of was like hard for my mom to hear that. And then they said, "But we're gonna be able to build you guys a brand new house." So, yep, you heard it correctly. Sunco Construction and Magna One Motorsports and a ton of other companies, like a ton of companies. I mean, a ton. I can't list them all because there's too many, but they all came together and they actually donated each piece, and somebody donated the first floor lumber kit, somebody donated the second floor lumber kit, somebody donated all the appliances. So they actually donated a fully furnished house for me and my family to live in, and for me to live in whenever I have kids, and everything from here on out. So it was actually like amazing, and honestly, we still can't believe we were able to have something like that happen. But it's super awesome, and yeah, like I said, I'm super thankful for what's came about it and how it was able to happen like that, to where all these companies could come together and push to build a brand new house for somebody.
So, I say this all the time. This is my quote. Greatness is not measured by what you have, but greatness is experienced by what you give and share to others.
Yes.
And so as you're able to give and share to others, you're able to experience that energy full circle when you least expect it. You have been great to a lot of people.
Yeah. I try to be, so like in the hospital, whenever I first got hurt, I kind of told my mom, I was like, we need to take videos. We need to let everybody know, because the biggest thing that I've noticed, because I've known people in wheelchairs before I ever got in a wheelchair, and I always just kind of wanted everybody to know, like, especially whenever I got into a wheelchair, nobody ever wants that to happen. But
Right.
whenever it does happen, you need to make the most of it, and you need to let other people know.
Right.
So what I had seen in like past and other people in wheelchairs is they kind of let the wheelchair define them, and they let the wheelchair decide what they can and can't do. So whenever I got in my wheelchair, I wanted to show everybody, like, I wanted my story to be known, and I wanted people to understand that just because you got in a wheelchair, it doesn't change everything you do. You can still do everything you love to do and more. Like this, just last Friday, I went to Holiday World with my family, and I
saw that. Oh,
and I rode all the rides, except for
rides.
I didn't ride the Thunderbird because I have bad knees, and
they claim.
they would, yeah, it would be bad. But I rode everything I wanted to ride, and I rode all the water rides and everything like that. So, like, just that alone.
You didn't feel. So we went to one of the largest. He went to one of the top 5 water parks in the United States. Went to one of the top amusement parks in the United States. Rode all the roller coasters that he wanted to ride. Rode the Flying Eagles.
Yep.
So the eagles that spin around. And there's a great video on his parents' Facebook page that you can observe. It shows him wheeling himself out to the ride. He's pulling himself out of his wheelchair into the ride. He's getting himself fastened in, and then his mom has to take the wheelchair away so that the ride can take off. But you did it all on your own.
Yeah.
And you're no different. You
No.
don't see yourself any different than anybody else. In fact, you guys, he has a handicap pass, but he won't park up front near my door. He actually parks in the gravel and moves himself along because you don't feel like you have to.
No, I don't. And that's just like, that's one of the biggest things is like, you're not any different. It's just, I understand that it is different for you, but at the same time, you can be defined as normal, and you can do everything that anybody else does. It just may be in a different matter, in a different order, but it is able to be done. And that's the biggest thing, is not letting an injury or something beat you mentally before you even get to try anything. So that's what the biggest thing for me has always been since the first day anything happened. I always wanted to make sure that I was able to do everything that I wanted to do, no matter the situation, no matter the cause. Just make sure that I can still do what I want to do, because that's the key to happiness, is doing what you love to do.
Right.
So
Right. So when it comes to the upcoming year, what is your goal in the next year?
So next year I graduate high school, which is pretty crazy to me, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first week I was in the hospital. I told my mom I wanted to. This is like the biggest thing, and the biggest thing to push towards is walking across the stage for graduation. Either it's in my leg braces or maybe it's normal. It doesn't matter. Just either way.
You're not taking a chair on stage.
No, I might ride it up the ramp, but I'll walk across the stage, which you
can already do for the most
yes.
part.
Right now I could do it with a walker and my leg braces, but we want to push farther than that.
Sure.
Because I try to overachieve on everything. So
I love it.
we still have a year. In 1 year we're able to do what I wanted to do, but
Right.
we'll be able to do it better, hopefully, in this
Yep.
next year to come. But that's the goal right now. So that's the one thing that we've really been pushing hard towards, and there's obviously a lot of small goals to meet before you get to that goal, but
Do all the small things, then the big things happen, right?
for sure.
Okay. What have you learned in your racing career that has led you up to the point of where we're going?
Perseverance and never giving up. Like, that's the two biggest things that I've taken from my racing. So like my racing is, I raced for 3 hours. Like, that was how long my races were. And so in 3 hours, a lot can happen. A lot of good and a lot of bad can go.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe say in your first 30 minutes you have something bad happen. Well, a lot of people that ruins their day. It's over
Right.
for them. But you have about 2 hours and 30 minutes to go. So
Sure.
you're going to overcome that, and you're going to, you have 2 hours and 30 minutes to make some good out of the situation. So yeah, I'd say perseverance and never giving up has been the biggest things for me, and especially now more so than ever, since I've been put into a different situation, which, I mean, honestly, me and my mom talked about this, and I think that God only puts stronger people in paths like these because they know that he can handle it.
I love it.
So that's the way we've looked at it, and just never giving up. Like, that's the best attitude to have towards anything, whether it's this or whether it's a 6 weeks out and maybe you broke your arm or something. In that 6 weeks, you can come back and just be like normal. It's just, you have to work towards that goal, and you have to make sure that you are the best you can be.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. I want them to see us using this platform.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you get yourself onto my table, and I'll help you where we need to.
Okay.
But I'm going to let you tell me where you want me to help, because I know you like to be the
You want to do
independent
the
you are.
socks?
I can totally do the socks.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if that's what.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Transfer and get ready to go.
All right. And so many of you guys are wondering how this is going to look, how this is going to go. I'm going to bring the camera around so you can actually see this happening, because this is actually really cool. And there's no manual on this, my friends. We are making this up as we go, right?
For
It's
sure.
the creativity that we get bonus points for. So see if everybody can see that, okay? All right. Now, I have been starting you on the P2 program.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like to set it up?
I normally go to that one.
Okay.
I don't really know the names of them all, but that's the one that
You
I
like the
always
middle
go
one,
to.
'cause
Yeah.
It's the most aggressive, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. And you have control over holding your hands
Yep,
onto
so-
your legs if you want to.
Normally I will hold my hands like this just to put more pressure through my legs, because if I don't, my legs go all over the place and they start moving out and in, and
Planking.
so it's easier just to kind of do this or whatever is the, I can hold them normal or.
Now, I've got the table down so you can get up. So I'm going to raise you up just a tad,
Okay.
so that your hips are equal with your knees, at least, right?
Yep.
And then you can actually see.
I was gonna say you can see
You
the.
can see everything happening. And what do you feel when you're on there?
I feel kind of vibrations or short spurts up through my legs from my feet all the way up to my hips, and it's, I don't know, it feels cool.
But you couldn't feel any of that much before
No.
we started. So
Not
this
really.
has been hyper-stimulating over a while.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And what do you feel with the rest of your body?
I feel it, obviously I feel it through my arms. My arms get really tired whenever I do it for the hour because it really does work you out. So
yeah.
I feel it through my arms a lot, and then kind of down my back. And honestly, it feels good coming down my back from my arms. But I don't know. It's a sense of relief, but at the same time, it's obviously going to work you out. So
Sure. What have we done when you're here and I'm helping you?
Mhm.
What have we done to make this more interesting?
We've got on my knees.
Mm-hmm.
We've sat down on it, which sitting down on it is wild. Let me tell you.
We might have to try that just for fun.
Just because it kind of almost, honestly, it makes you kind of feel how your insides work.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I don't know, but it feels, I don't know, it just puts a lot of energy through your body. I think that's the best way I can explain it, because I don't know any of the medical terms like you do, or the
No, you don't have to know any
fancy
medical
words.
terms.
I just explain it with the best that I know.
We've got all of our consumers, all of our customers, those who are interested in knowing how you're getting better.
Mhm.
There might be somebody at home who's got MS, who's in a wheelchair, or somebody who has suffered something similar, and they don't know the medical terms either. So whatever works out for you is fine.
But you gotta have your socks off. That's the big thing.
Amber makes him go barefoot. Love it. I've had you attempt to squeeze a ball.
Yes, I've.
The Amber squishy
done it.
ball.
It's all right. It's gotten better, but it was pretty rough at first.
Yeah, because he doesn't have control over his muscle contractions yet.
We've done a few more things, I think.
Mm-hmm. We've done the resistance band going to the outside, and the last time you were here, we had you get on your shins, and I posted your hips up. You held your upper body up, and I stabilized your hips so that we could get it up here into your booty and into your legs. So, and you're doing this every day?
Close to. Some days I will skip it on accident, but it's not.
Are you
ever.
sure that's on accident?
Yeah.
You
I get caught up.
get caught up.
But I do it at least 3 days a week, no matter what.
Awesome. I'm going to tilt this up so everybody can see you and how you're moving and see your awesome face because you're an awesome young man. And so what's your dreams now besides walking to get your diploma, which we're going to do, by the way, and I'll make sure that they get a copy of that video.
Yeah, I was going to say it has to be videoed. But,
What does the future hold for you? Like, what's next in racing?
So I will definitely get back on a dirt bike, even if it's not whenever my legs work. But eventually I will be able to do it with my legs working. But before that, we will get on it. Like, my bike's already been sent off to get a leg cage put on it. But
so the same accident that took you out, you're ready to jump on and go for a ride.
Oh yeah,
I'm so proud of you.
It doesn't, like, that type of stuff. It's never really, stopped me. Like, it doesn't brain block me like a lot of people have it happen. I just, like, you can only be scared of it for so long. Like, you can't. If you're scared of it, then that's going to be something that's always in the back of your head. So you just have to go and redo whatever hurt you. So it's
right. You're awesome. All right, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to post for Lucas here. And I know we're going to be broadcasting this. This will be recorded and uploaded to social media and YouTube, so you can watch it over and over and over again. And feel free to reach out to us on any kind of questions you have. On Thursday this week, I will be back doing round 2 of our mental health series. And I actually get to meet with you on Thursday. That's your normal scheduled appointment. So if he has nothing better to do, we might have him stick around just for some fun, because we have not yet talked about how you're using the red light therapy.
Yes.
You had a little setback a couple of weeks ago on your neck. Care to share?
So we don't actually know like what it was. We don't know if it was maybe an ingrown hair or something had infected my neck. Well, I thought it was a pimple or something, and I just tried to pop it. I ended up making it 10 times worse. Like, ended up making it
Like
to
the
where,
size of a golf
yeah,
ball.
it almost got to the size of a golf ball.
An
So,
abscess. So it was
There's an
we had
abscess on my neck.
leaking right at the base of his brainstem. So very, very risky area, especially for somebody who has got a compromised immune system at the moment. So
I had dealt with it for like 3 to 4 days before we had gone to the doctor. The doctor told us he put us on this antibiotic and said he didn't want to cut it because of the location, which I kind of understood. Well, the next day, keep in mind after the first day, I couldn't really sleep at all. Like, I couldn't lay down on my neck. So it came to like the 5th day or whatever, and we'd sent a picture to Amber of it, and she had pretty much told us to go to the ER immediately, which my mom was going to take me anyway. But we went to the ER. They ended up doing an ultrasound on it, and I ended up having an infection 1.5 millimeters deep in my neck, which is crazy.
deep.
And it was going to keep growing if I didn't. And they laid me down on the table. They tried to numb it. It didn't work. So
So he suffered.
They offered to re-numb it, but I was going to be there for another 30 minutes, and I was like, it's okay, just do it. Like, I'm not going to freak out, I promise. I'll sit here and I will let you cut it. But yeah, so they ended up cutting that infection out, and then every day after that, we did the red light therapy on it every day to make sure for at least 10 to 15 minutes on there to make sure that it's gotten better. And it's probably been a week and a half or 2 weeks since, and it's literally gone.
Can I show them a picture of what it used to look like?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm going to take the camera over and let them see what this looks like now.
But before, it was like a gaping hole in my neck that has pus and crummy and just gross. They pulled out 2 large chunks of infection out of it.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Now it's not even visible.
So this is what it used to look like. That was on the back of his neck, okay? And then when he went to the emergency room, they were debating whether to take him into surgery to actually...
Yeah, I forgot to tell that part.
Yeah, they were debating on doing surgery because it was too risky with the location of where it was. So let me see. I know that your dad had sent me a picture of what they cut out of it, but not very pretty. So I'm gonna move this around. I'm gonna let them see what the back of your neck looks like now after the LifePro red light therapy torch and the belt. So you can just barely see it. There's not much there. Just a little. It's closed up really good, but it's healing really, really well.
Yeah, and fast.
And that was 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago.
I think it was a little less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So awesome. So we got 1 minute and 15 seconds left. If anybody has any questions for Lucas here, or has any moments of inspiration to share with him, we are super excited to hear from you. We've got one individual here grateful for this amazing interview, inspiring Lucas. Thank you, Amber, for the valuable information. So powerful. And then Lucas, for many years, I've lived on site with men who had several accidents or severe accidents and traumatic brain injury and was trained to help them reach their goals. You are blessed to have a mom like you have, and your courage is amazing. Your message needs to be heard for those who still remain so hopeless. You can do it. And
thank you.
There are some others. There are a lot of people looking forward to seeing your outcome. Another person says, hi, Lucas, so anxious to hear your story. You got this. I'll be checking out your Facebook page. And Stephanie says, he has the best attitude. You're such an inspiration. Yeah, lots of great things.
I just remembered, I'm pretty sure we have a hashtag too. I think hashtag Lucas912strong. I think that's what the post is under. So there's all the posts from my injury on there, on that hashtag. So if you guys look up hashtag Lucas912strong, there should be all the posts, and I believe that's what it is. I'll check after this, but I should be correct on that.
Awesome. Now, before you started using the platform, how likely were you to do your home exercises outside of therapy?
Not really likely, because I'd get home from therapy and I'd be whooped. So
Exhausted.
it's like my brain just wanted nothing to do with therapy after therapy was over.
And so,
But-
what are you doing now when you're not here and when you're not in therapy?
So I've been doing the armbands a little bit, not as much as I should, which I mean, it's hard to do the recommended amount of some stuff sometimes, but I do this at least 3 days a week, sometimes more, most of the time more. But
you travel on the weekends.
yeah,
So we're gonna have to get you a device that you can travel with, something smaller.
maybe
We have one of those. It's the Waiver Mini.
then I'll be able to do it on the go.
You'll be able to do it on the go.
And I do the red light therapy wherever I need it, whenever it feels like it is needed.
Mm-hmm. And you have
And it is
the
noticeable.
belt, and you've got the torch.
Yes, I have the belt now
Mm-hmm.
of my own. I bought a belt.
No way.
Yeah, we did not give it back, but we were.
I've been loaning a lot of stuff out.
She loaned me a belt
Mhm.
and a torch, and I'm still using the torch.
And a platform.
Yeah, and I have a platform. I use the platform almost every day, and then the red light therapy I use it as needed. So it's really nice to have to use, and I've noticed improvements from both. So
Awesome. Sweet. So somebody says hashtag Lucas921 strong, correct?
912 strong.
912 strong, Mary Beth.
Yes.
Hashtag Lucas912 strong. And you can follow that and see everything you want to know about.
Yes.
Lucas,
So that
yeah.
should have all the posts and everything like that.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, on Thursday, when we come back and meet again with you, I'll be talking about mental health and just how vibration therapy and the other devices are able to help improve in your world, so that you don't have to depend on doctors, therapy sessions, medication. Although, again, I'm not telling you to change your medical recommendations because I am not your doctor or your therapist. But what I am telling you is don't be afraid to think outside the box sometimes. And a lot of what the LifePro creates and provides, especially from the standpoint of enrichment through free education with all of us that are experts on our end, is you have the resources to put some of these different tools and devices in action by trial and error basis as it best applies to your world. And what's most important is that a lot of the devices are evidence-based, research-backed through peer review studies, through medical studies globally. It's not just here in the States. And so if you have to biohack and look into other ways to manipulating human biology, you might have to do that in addition to what your doctors are suggesting that you do for your treatment in order to give yourself the best outcome or the best version of yourself possible versus what you're willing to settle with. So on Thursday, we'll be giving away a device to somebody who's observing. And so you can stay tuned on Thursday. If you have questions or special interests of what I can share with you on Thursday, not only the research studies I'm going to be sharing with you as to how the hormones of the body and the mental health outcomes improve with use of whole body vibration and red light therapy, but if you have specific questions to your needs, please feel free to post those in the VIP group. And then, of course, the other thing I'll be covering on Thursday is how whole body vibration makes a difference with Parkinson's, MS, and then fibromyalgia and some of the other challenges, diseases, conditions that people can suffer from as a result of stress. So thank you again very much for watching. Thank you, Lucas, for being here and sharing your story. It takes a lot of bravery and courage to do what you're doing. But, the good Lord has put you through some kind of calling and adversity to be able to transform the world for the greater good through your learning and through your expertise and through you continuing to engage in your favorite things. And again, greatness is not measured by what you have, but it's experienced by what you give and share to others. So make sure that you're giving and share to others. And just a smile or a hug or a special message to somebody can make or break their day. So do something kind for somebody if you happen to have the opportunity. And we'll look forward to meeting with you again with LifePro on Thursday through Instagram through Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. And in the meantime, thank you so much from LifePro, and we hope you make the best of your day. And remember to feel the joy and the happiness that's right in front of you, because if we can embrace the small things, all the big things just kind of happen. So thanks you so much for watching, and you guys have a great day. Bye.
Thank you guys.